Welcome to The Leaders Who Care, a podcast powered by Dynamis Group. We are here to give the stage and support to those committed to create a positive and lasting impact, way beyond the profits and margins, the leaders of the world who care for others and serve a bigger purpose. Join us on the journey of creating a better, more caring world. And now to your host, Marian Timelkov.
Happy Friday, dear audience. We have today an exceptional leader and a guest that I'm honored to host today. As you know, we are on a mission to bring together some of the most caring leaders from every corner of the world. And today I have the privilege and honor to welcome Mike Radoor. Mike, thank you for joining us today. But before I ask you some questions, I just want to say you're the co-founder of Minito, playbook, Outcast. You've got multiple exits as well, and you are one of the most energetic entrepreneurs that we know of. And welcome, and thank you for making the time today, Mike.
Thank you so much, Marian. Yeah, energy for sure, and some companies in the background. Yeah, the backhand. Yes, that's true. That's true. Thank you so much.
Well, lovely. Mike, we talk about obviously many things here. Care is the main focus, and could we lead with care? Is care really a strength needed in the business? How does it impact performance? There's so many questions I would like to ask you, but starting with you personally, how did you achieve 3 exits such a so young? You have so many, so much ahead of you yet. And how does people do that when they're starting out? And what really led you to that path?
Oh, that's a good question. I think sometimes it's a part of a chain reaction. Sometimes I believe that if you the compound effect, and if you so for my sake, what I did, I was lucky coming up with an idea that was leaning up against Just Eat, which is the food online food delivery service. And one of the main investors from the angel investment standpoint, he was in my early 20s. He was running some nightclubs in Denmark, and there in my younger age, I was a bartender, and I was upgraded to a manager of the Thursdays in there, and I didn't know what to do, but I just knew that would be a cool job. And on the sideline, I always had a dream about building an e-commerce business and a marketplace, and I started doing that in my early days in my high school with a childhood friend. And suddenly we started the company together while I was managing the Thursdays. And because I did this job so good, I was invited to Miami, where Carsten was living at that time. And over there, he tried to convince me to do more nightclubs examples or nightclub concepts. But I said, I can't do that. I need to go further into my company idea, which I have here. And I introduced it for him, and he invested. And when they invested, that was actually Jesper Buch, which is the co-founder or founder of Just Eat, and Carsten. They both invested in us. And there, we met their skills, we met their mindset, we met their network. So we learned so much. I think an important thing is when you really want to work on something while you learn, is to have some mentors next to you that can give you some shortcuts. So I was there from 2009, where we founded the company, until 2016, where I saw my ticket out. And that exit for me was not a planned exit. We were all dreaming, me and Conrad, who started Minto, we were all dreaming about having this financial freedom and buy our families some better apartments and take care of our families for the first time in our legacy. But I exited Minto for personal reasons, because I've hit I was struck by stress, and the entire growth of that company, of where I was needed, wasn't needed so much anymore. So I had to readjust myself at that time. At that time, I was focusing on my own health. And I was lucky again. A huge investor came in the Series B, and there I took my ticket out. And then I exited again, and I entered another company, because again, I have a black book full of ideas, and I have a network. And as soon as I was finished with Minto, I thought, okay, I'm going to lean back and relax myself for a couple of months. That took me around 1 week. And then I was on a flight to New York, where I met with Jeff Crahell, which is the co-founder and CEO of Playbook app. We started the company together. So that company I exited way too early. That was one of the exits that's for the black book, because the company is booming today and I was there for the first year. But because I was falling in love, Marianne. So I had to go back to Stockholm, where I came from, to pursue my love. I've been pushing that aside for many years, and I felt that was more important for me. So I was lucky to get some interest from investors who wanted to buy my shares for a fair amount of money. So I exited there as well. And then I entered a company again, a new company called Ocast, which was on the very, very early stages. I think they had around 20 customers. And within 2.5 years, we had 400 customers. But the entrepreneur I did that company with, he also had a side gig. And that was you can call it, it's a trip advisor just for universities, educations, and schools. It's called School Parrot. And there I was in the very beginning. And because I was involved in the beginning with my network and with my knowledge and my advisory role, I gained some percentages in the company. And when the time was right, I exited there as well. So I would say my first and only real exit was the Minto adventure. But that's how it went down.
Fantastic. No, this is a great story. Right? And you mentioned, obviously, it does come with a price, because you said at some point you may have a stress and may have to go through a lot of difficulties. You've been through that journey, to get this, and a lot of founders, or they may not necessarily know exactly what's coming. They're dreaming to build a company that's 50, 100 million, whatever, or a unicorn, whatever that may be. But if we're talking about that journey to 100 million plus, company, what have you experienced yourself? To what should they watch out for, and in terms of that evolution? Because when you start with a few people, it's very different. So it changed so fast, I guess. The dynamic is so different, and I'm very curious about the details of from when you start to when you exit it. What were the most stressful moments, and that maybe we could take better care of?
Yeah, very, very good. I think in no matter what startup you start, it's gonna be freaking hard. But you hopefully you will, that's the honest truth is it is freaking hard. But that's also why the reward might be very big.
It's much higher.
It's much higher. And in the very beginning, I will believe that your mental battery has a lot of capacity to take on some tough journeys, to take on some punches, some mental breakdowns, and you can recover. But at one learning curve I had that made me not be able to recover again was that I had not found my spot in the company. So I've done so many things that I really didn't like to do, just for the sake of the company, instead of actually positioning myself in a position where I felt home and I felt happy and I felt, okay, here I can grow for many years.
Okay.
So one of my biggest roles in the expansion phase was to go to another country and roll out the company one more time and hire a lot of people and start from scratch. And I did that 8 times in a matter of 3.5 years. That was tough. And because I did that and I took that, and I was probably the best for the job, that was wearing me out. And my learning curve is there. I should have, in an earlier stage, have figured out, said to the guys, well, if I want my energy more intact in one place, I shouldn't be traveling so much all the time. I shouldn't be head bumping with new companies. I was literally starting 9 or 8 new companies in 3.5 years because it was a rollout, right?
Yeah.
So a good advice is to, in the very beginning, first, 2, 3, maybe 5 years, there's no way out of it. You just go hardcore after your goals. But then slowly on that journey, try to figure out what do I like to do? I don't believe people get stressed of doing too much of what they love to do.
No.
I think people get stressed, among other things, also doing too many things they don't like to do. And even though if the reward is $100 million or $200 million or $50 or $1 million, the pain will be the same because money can't replace that mental burnout. So I believe you have to put yourself in a position in the company where you feel, wow, here I can sit for the next 20 years, because it's a long run. It's not, I see so many young entrepreneurs, they want to become millionaires tomorrow. They want to build a unicorn within 5 years, or they would just want to go crazy. But maybe they don't really like that company, what they're doing. So I think it's very important to really love the company you're doing, the purpose of it, and of course the entire team behind it. So that was one of my learning curves, to find a position where you can see yourself the next 10 years when you have reached a certain critical mass and proven concept.
No, that's very helpful. In fact, I can imagine that when you keep doing things well, people always put you to do it there, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that's the thing that you actually dream of and that you really love to do. So maybe that's a good point. Just figure out what you love doing. So now coming back to this experience, what would you have loved to do? So instead of setting up and 8, 9 times
Yeah.
scale and expand, what would be the ideal role now with the wisdom you've gathered so far and just looking back?
I would say an operational level, a COO, or I would love to be just situated one place, have a home. Not having a home, the foundations, Maslow's pyramid, the foundation. Have a home and have social surroundings that you can recognize. Because if you travel all the time, if you're constantly on a flight, if you're constantly on a public transportation, you move from hotel to hotel, something happens in you. You're missing some connection, and you're missing some deeper purpose in your everyday life. And so a position I would have loved to be in, it was a position where I had a home, let's say Denmark or England, doesn't matter actually. I love most countries we were operating in, but just staying one place, traveling out, coming back, not traveling out, traveling out, traveling out, traveling out. I want to come back and be in one office. So that would be preferable. My redo, if I'm about to do that one more time, is to get my home, get all my basic physical and mental needs covered, and then the rest can just come on.
Absolutely. This is just, thank you for sharing that. It's really very important, and I often not many people realize, because people see on the outside, oh, this is super cool, I can travel the world, but that means often people who don't travel that often, they don't realize what's the price to pay. We're not designed to be in the airplane as human beings, on
Yeah.
So I think it's sometimes on the outside may look glamorous, but when
Yeah.
you go deeper for a longer period of time, is a different story. It actually is the opposite, because it misses the deeper connection.
Yeah, I had a seminar down in Spain for 4 years ago, and I chose to name that seminar, or it was a keynote speech. I chose to name it "The Backside of the Medal." The backside, where I showed first my life on the front side. Wow, Instagram was looking good. Wow, my resume was looking good. My hair was looking good. My face was looking good. But on my inside, I was cracked. I never showed anyone how much I cried alone on the hotel nights when I got a financial statement, and because I didn't have any ballast within me. So just a financial statement saying that we have red numbers, I could crack. That's something I should be able to handle when I'm an entrepreneur. That will happen. So those things people didn't see. So yeah, definitely have one place where you can live and stay and get some friends and do something totally different than your work. Because if you just travel alone in the big world and all you have is your work, that's all you're gonna be.
You'll be lonely, and that's
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that moment. You often, this is the dark side or the difficult side that people don't see, and you see that financial statement, that's all your work, and you really work super hard, and you're basically on the verge of your strength and abilities, and you see that statement with red numbers. You're starting to see, despite all that hard work, despite all these things, we're still here. How do you recover from that? What gives you the strength to keep going?
So we have to imagine that I'm in balance. So if I'm somewhat in balance mentally, and I'm in a good place in my life, well, then it's a mindset. Red numbers for me is something that happens. A loss of an opportunity is something that happens. You go to a tournament. I'm going to go to a paddle tournament with my girlfriend here tonight at 7, and I know there is an opportunity I can lose, but if I choose to just do my best, I'm going to do with everything I have within me, then I'm okay by learning or failing or losing, because then I did everything I had in me. So if I get red numbers and I didn't do everything I could or close to, then I would be disappointed on myself. But if I get red numbers and I've done everything I could, then I don't take it so personally. I don't take it so, I separate. It has nothing to do with me. It has something to do with the company and all the metrics. The team we probably haven't motivated well enough, or the market has changed. So when I get red numbers, what I'm trying to do is to learn from it, figuring out, okay, what can I learn? What do I need to do better? What do I need to change, and how? And that's more likely the approach I do with every challenges I have in my life.
Oh, this is really nice and very important. That how do you take care of yourself today? How do you really, um, not just work-wise, but overall?
Yeah. I think to really be able to take care of yourself, I think you really have to know yourself. Like, you really have to know who you are, what you like, what you want. So I've taken some huge questions into my life a couple of years back of like, how much do I want to work? Where do I want to live? How should my future wife look like? Who do I want to become? Who do I want to be? So all these big life questions that can be quite hard to answer.
Life vision. You're talking about a vision that that excites you.
Yeah, exactly. And I also believe, the quality of questions you give in your life is the quality of life you're going to get. So I took all these big questions, and the way I take care of myself today is to really stay true to those answers. So because if you let's do a metaphor or a parallel. Let's say you're going to bake a pizza, and you have a recipe from your mother, and that pizza tastes delicious. Well, there's no reason for going away from that recipe. Follow the recipe, you'll get that closely same pizza out of the oven. It's a little bit the same. If you already have thought about the recipe for the happiness in your life, for the fulfillment in your life, and loads of other stuff, follow that recipe. So the way I take care of myself is to follow what I've asked myself about, and I make sure I get my sleep. I make sure I work out, strength training a couple times a week. I make sure I do sports. Sports I think is funny. I make sure that I'm having exciting tasks in front of me. I'm an entrepreneur, so I can luckily decide that myself mostly, but sometimes it can take a wrong direction. So you get in a wrong direction of the company. So I make sure that my sleep is good, my health, overall health is good. And then I have at least 2 days a week where I do literally nothing. I do nothing.
Wow. So let me just zoom into that. What does that mean? How do you make that happen?
Yeah, but that can also be in a weekday, because I also believe that if I can't do my work in 4 days, how should I do it in 5 days? And also, again, I believe that to achieve more, you have to do less. You have to be good at saying no. So I have 2 days a week where I do nothing. And what I do is I wake up and I see what happens. I do exactly what I want, like only what I want, not what I have to, what I should do, what I could do. I do what I want. So I wake up. It could be, for example, last week I woke up. All I wanted to go out on the balcony and do some yoga. I suck at yoga, by the way. I'm not good at it. I'm an old football player, and I really have stiff legs. But that's what I wanted to do. So I did that. Then I was feeling, what do I want to do now? Now I want to eat my breakfast in bed and watch some Netflix. Then I did that. Then the day goes on with that. So I just do what I want to do, and I let the brain just calm down and tell myself that, hey, you can still just do what you want to do. It's a really good exercise.
I will try this out. Wow, that's I just listening a few really golden nuggets here. In order to take care of yourself, you need to know yourself. That was a really great one, and that discovery journey. And now you will try this method of just try a couple of days where you do nothing, or just do what you want to do for a change, and see what happens. I mean, that's what's the effect on you by doing that? How do you feel?
So I believe, especially high performers, we love to be busy. We feel powerful when we're busy. We feel important when we're busy, and we're busy. But many times, it's like a rocking horse. We're busy with a lot of stuff that doesn't get us anywhere. So we just like to sit there on the rocking horse and be, hey, I'm so busy, but I'm getting nowhere. So what I'm trying to practice myself is to be busy with the important stuff. And those days I don't do anything. I'm not busy. I'm just doing. So people are planning their weekends. I should be social. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. That will be healthy for me. But I'm trying at least 2 times a week where I just go with the flow. I simply just go with the flow. And what that gives me is an enormous feeling of, I get light, and mentally light. I feel like a kid again. You remember when we were kids, we woke up, didn't have any commitments. All we needed to do is wake up and see what the day was bringing us. That's an amazing feeling, and
freedom.
Yeah, freedom, total in control over your wants and wishes. And if I want to be sad, I'm sad. I'm also allowing myself to be sad. It doesn't have to be positive all the time. If I'm sad, I'm sad. And there I have my time. So it gives me, it makes me able to work really hard because I know I have 2 days a week where I can just do everything I want.
Look, I meet a lot of people, and what we do here with Dynamics is actually we want to help more people thrive, and more, especially more leaders and leaders who care, provide those conditions to thrive in their workplace, not survive. And often, one of the biggest challenge people have is when they don't like what they do,
Yeah.
and they don't have that freedom, and they feel they don't have that freedom. So just linking to what you were saying here, of just to have that freedom to do those things. And I always want to see more people thrive, not survive. What would be your advice to those people that may be in companies or even startups, organizations that they may not necessarily like, and they feel like prisoners, and they were craving for that, but they may not know how to get out of it?
Yeah. I read something once that said, if you find yourself in the wrong story, leave. But
Makes sense.
that, yeah, right. But that's harder said than done. It's really hard to do. But again, if you know, it comes back to getting to know yourself through some personal development, self-assessment, and getting close to your core values, and figure out what do you love in life and what do you not like in life, and where do you want to be. I think that gives you the strength also to take some decisions, because many times if we are in places we don't like to be, it is probably in a camouflage with our core values. For example, one of my core values is freedom, and one of my core values is also discipline. And they can bump hits sometimes, but I love freedom. So if I'm in a job situation where I don't get my freedom, then I can't be there because it's my core value, and I know that. So I need to find something for me that can speak to my core values. I think that's a good exercise, to find your core values. Another thing is that if you are in a situation, it's not always about leaving. A good relationship is built by never leaving. And worked on it. But there will be times in both professional relationships and personal relationships, there is no other way out than leaving, because it takes two to grow. So that's also another thing, that if you want to grow and you want to stay in that professional relationship, which is your company, you need to have a manager that wants to grow with you and help you grow, so you can grow, both of you. If you have a manager that's not listening to that, then you leave, because you can't grow alone if you are dependent on a situation or a team. You need other people to grow with you. So have a good chat with your manager or with your boss, and tell them how you feel, and then let's see how they're gonna act on that. I have had a super good group CEO when I was the co-founder of Minto. We were growing. I got a group CEO in. That was quite hard because I was the founder of the company. I'm gonna have a daddy now. But he did an amazing job. And what he did, he helped me grow. He constantly wanted me to grow. And we were constantly having quarterly conversations about how can we grow more? Are you happy where you are? No. Okay, where can we put you? And that was really good exercise, because then I could grow into new positions, or I could grow into new responsibility areas. And I didn't feel stuck. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And just coming back to that, because you really enjoyed that experience with that CEO, and here is maybe advice for CEOs. What makes a good to great or a caring CEO? What are the traits and characteristics that really make that difference?
What makes a really good CEO?
Who cares?
One who cares. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good one. One who cares for the profitability of the company. I think that is a very big responsibility, and one who cares and takes his. So, I think, if people feel that you want them the best, if people feel that I'm here to make you grow, I don't care where you want to grow. If you want to be a CEO and take my spot one day, I'm going to help you do that. You have a little journey to do, but I'm going to help you doing that. So I believe that the CEO who helps everyone to grow would be a very good CEO. And the third one is a direct, no bullshit CEO. So, you have to, a CEO if he takes care of the profitability of the company, responsible for it, he wants everyone to grow. He's very direct. It doesn't become a better father, does it? Like that's you get boundaries, you get growth opportunities, you get directions and mentorship, and you get a good paycheck as well. I believe that's a good CEO.
Wow, thank you for that definition. And just because your success is inspirational, and of course, was it anything at your young age that has triggered that desire or has triggered that growth? Because you're working in bars, but before that, just to tell us maybe in your teenage years or childhood, was there anything else that may have impacted your trajectory later on?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I grew up in a working class family. My dad has some mental what do you call it, mental issues, and my mom was working hard. They were being divorced, and suddenly I got a lot of friends that was in a more wealthy family situation, and I remember looking at those families like, oh my God, I want that. And I wanted that what they had. I felt that was my dream. And what happened within me was I got this drive saying, "Fucking watch me," because also I got bullied a lot in my ground school because I moved from a school to a school. Kids can be terrible, tough to each other,
Yeah.
and I was the ones that got bullied. And every time I got bullied, I had something in me saying, "Watch me," and I found I could canalize that in football. I chose to become good at football because now if I became good at football in my area, that where I lived in Denmark, people would look up to you. And that was my drive. I was avoiding pain. That was my drive and driving force, avoiding pain, avoiding pain, avoiding pain, which is also one of the biggest drivers in us humans. We avoid pain or accomplish pleasure, but avoiding pain is larger. So that day to day, that stuck with me. So I have this watch me, which means that I need to be around people where they're so far up to the addict that I need to prove myself all the time. I'm thriving in that environment. That's me. But I got it from a young age, being in a family situation, looking at other families, wanting what other families have. And I've been through that process in my mind many times. And I'm happy for that. And I'm also happy I'm aware of it, because then I can use it as fuel instead of it breaking me.
Wonderful. I know that training plays a key role in your life and physical activity. How does training impact your mental capacity and overall well-being?
The overall well-being, I think you just Google it. I believe at like staying active. This body is every single day. Ever since the day we got born, this is a bad news, but this is a news that we all know. The body is dying. It's slowly dying. But there's ways you can make it live longer and live more efficiency. And one of them, which is a big keystone, is physical activity, especially strength training. Having a solid muscle mass on your body will prevent you from becoming old too fast. And it will carry your bones better. And yeah, so the reason why I'm training and how it helps me in my health, I get more energy, but I also get it's a very good disciplined playing ground. Because how many times have you felt, I should run that, I should take this run, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down and do this strength training, but it's so terribly boring, and you do it anyway. So the motivation you create from doing something, even though you don't feel like it, the motivation you have afterwards, that feeling is contagious. So people many times say, I don't know how you train when you're not motivated. I said, but I've done it so many times that I get motivated by thinking about doing it, the feeling I get afterwards. And also it trains my discipline a lot. I think what you do in one area of the life, you do in the most area of the lives. And if I can't slow down on my discipline in my training, if I say I want to, if I have an identity talking to me saying I am a healthy, fit, inspiring guy, well, then I have to keep my training schedule. Not that I have to have a six-pack and be an Instagram model, but I need to be looking healthy and be healthy.
Well,
Yeah.
people are saying obviously that they're looking at your infectious motivation, and you really that makes a difference. That really when people see how you show up. How do you recover or come back from the low moments? What is your is there a specific things you do to help you very quickly bounce back when you're in a tough moment, or when you're crying over a financial statement, or when you're really not feeling happy or well?
Yeah, absolutely. There's many, so of course, there's a lot of things you can do yourself. But so again, I've asked myself a tons of questions, which is also what I live from now. I ask other people questions that can get them to reflect and grow. Self-reflection creates intention. And one of the questions I use often when I'm down, first of all, if I'm down, I allow myself to be down. A quick story: when,
Mhm.
when I when I was down with stress, and I was seeking a mentor who took me to a forest, and we were there meditating, and I learned the spiritual world, and I got close to it. And one thing I learned there was to sit with the pain. If I'm feeling low, it's okay. If I'm feeling wrong, it's okay. I am also wrong. I am also low. I am also depressed. I am not depressed, but I'm also depressed. I am also poor. So I allow myself to be a little bit of everything. And that creates a huge amount of acceptance. And in acceptance, many things disappears, because it's the resistance that create the constant friction. So if I'm low, I'm accepting I'm low, and then let's see how long time it lasts. But then also I have habits. I know, for example, I ask myself a question: do I know what makes me happy and energetic every day? Yeah, I know that. Okay, write that down and make sure you do a few of those things every day. So I have things I've answered that I love to do, and one of the things is, for example, waking up and meditating. That was hard in the beginning, but I love to do it, and I love the feeling afterwards. So I do that. I do things that I know makes me happy. Stretching exercises, good music, a cup of coffee. A cold shower might not sound so good, but I actually enjoy it. So I have things that it's on my list of things that makes me feel good, energetic, and I've tested on my own body. I read about it, and I feel that's good for me to do. So when I'm low, I just make sure I still do some of those things.
Well, that's very helpful. I can see it's important to notice what are the things that get us energized, and do them when we know low moments. Absolutely, and that could help us. Doesn't mean we'll immediately get out of them, but this will contribute towards. When it comes down to business, you talk about all-in mentality.
Yeah.
Well, the all-in mentality. Tell us a little bit more about what does it mean to you, and yeah, how is all-in balancing out with the rest?
Yeah. Um, I believe in the all-in mentality. You can also go all in on balance. So all in doesn't mean all in a stressful area, but
Yeah.
I believe that. So every year I sit down, I go away 5 to 7 days a year by myself, and I have a bunch of questions I ask myself, and I go on my self-development journey. I evaluate my year. I look at myself. I look at myself backwards and forwards. And in that exercise, there's also some kind of a balance exercise sheet, like how am I doing in my family and relations? How am I doing in my economy and finances, business, spirituality, and so on, physical form, so on. And then I rate myself. And out of that, I get an agile scoreboard. And here I can really see where I'm lacking. So I focus a lot of those areas where I'm lacking for the next year. I make sure I put in goals there. So let's say I haven't had so much contact with my family and friends this year. Well, then next year it has to be an important thing, because I know that contributes to my overall well-being. And all-in mentality just means if you do something, do it all in. Because I can tell you, the feeling of losing, it doesn't hurt you as much if you go all in. The feeling of regret. So I'm sitting writing on a book right now, where I believe the title will be "Too Young to Die, Too Old to Regret." So I really believe the pain of regret is going to be huge. But if you go all in on something, all in on your family, all in on your finances, all in on your everyday, on your health, and you fail, because failing will happen, then it doesn't hurt so much. So that's why I really enjoy the all-in mentality. I did everything I could. Now there's just stuff to learn. I wasn't a failure because I just didn't know better.
Wow. The When it comes down to all in all of those areas, have you found the balance on all of
Yeah,
those? What's the
no,
formula?
absolutely not. You can't be everywhere at the same time. You need to have periods and time for everything. But I'm definitely all in my goal setting. I'm all in my reflection process. And when I'm all in my reflection process, I can now see where I need to be all in and where I can leave outside. So again, I'm also good at saying no to a lot of things. I believe to achieve more, you have to do less. If you look at Warren Buffett, if he, I believe he got a question once. I've read it one place in the Trustful Stories. I can't remember today. They said, "What is the one thing that gave you all your wealth?" They asked him, and he said, "Well, 99% of the cases, I'm saying no." And that, I believe, that's an all-in mentality. He chooses a few things, he goes all in on that. He said no to the rest. And that's, in my point, is an all-in mentality. So I'm not going all in all these areas. I'm going all in the areas that is needed. So I'm really good at prioritizing, reflecting, and figuring out that is needed. Okay, all in on that.
Oh, very well. That's really strategic, actually. You're not just firefighting, but you're building fire stations. That's what you're saying, of getting all in. As your career has developed, you become more involved in developing others. And really, how do you care for people around you when you're so busy?
I think it goes back to my as a person. I always loved to. I'm a team player. I always loved when my team was happy, my football team was happy. I've always been the one protecting the team players from other players, bumping into them too much. So I've always had this natural feeling of careness. Always cared. Always taking care of my family when we had tough times. I did that as a young kid. If mama was sad, I came to mom and I said, "Don't be sad." So that's a deep part of me. But I really got an opportunity in Minto to really come close to people's growth, because my role was to roll out the business manual, hire the team. But on the sideline, I started to developing myself. And as soon as I found a tool that I found useful, I started to give that to the team. And I developed that into a business manual for coaching, high performance coaching, with all the things I went through. So I'm lucky today that I can be busy with it, but I love the most. I really love seeing people grow. I really love seeing people getting these the aha moments, which I've had. And so I'm just busy with that. So even in my private life, my girlfriend, I don't coach her so much. It's really hard to be a boyfriend and coach your girlfriend. It's not a good idea. But I'm trying to always to be supportive and give people a platform to grow and see them grow. I really enjoy that. So that's what I'm all about now, and I believe that's the only thing I'm busy with. So I don't feel so busy. I just feel I'm helping a lot.
Awesome. That really sounds like you have a lot of great things coming in place. And we have a question here from a close friend of ours, and Stoyan is saying, what is a failure that you have learned the most out of?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have to take it back to, no, wait a second. What's the failure I've learned the most from? Yeah, okay. When we were building Minto, we were really fast in our Series A. We got, I think it was around 5 million euros invested with a British venture capital fund. And we were rushing out to a lot of markets. And in these markets, we opened up a lot of markets and hired a lot of people. But as the time went and we didn't reach the targets, it was time to shut down some of these countries again, unfortunately. And the biggest failure I had was not to dare to be the one who said that to the team in a good time, where we had in our group, we had a more structured approach. But you have to remember, I've been working very closely to all these employees, and I felt that was a failure for me not to step up and say to the board, listen, I'm the one who's going to say this to the team instead of our CFO or a group CEO. So I believe that's one of my biggest failures, that I, in the future comings, whatever I'm doing, even in good times or hard times, I want to be the messenger. I want to be the responsible for that message, because it's been haunting me a little bit, and that I was not the guy who said this to these people who's been putting in so much blood, tears, time, life into this project that unfortunately the growth rates didn't show that we could continue.
Oh, what a great lesson on this. Mike, it's been really great to have you here today. Final question when it comes down to your vision, since we're very much connected to what you explain and how you look at things. When you look at the optimistic view, when you put your really sunglasses, so to say, what is your vision for a more caring world?
The vision is that everybody, I really love the song with Michael Jackson, "Man in the Mirror."
Yeah.
And the reason why I love that is because it starts with you. And I hopefully, and I wish, and I really want that our government systems, they put in some reflection training for kids, because the better we are at reflecting on ourselves, the better we are to be calm about ourselves. The more calm we are about ourselves, the better we can help others. And it was first in my early 30s that I became very aware of who I was and who I wanted to be. And when that happened, it was a huge paradigm shift in my life of how I was able to actually have space for people. You know, if you're so caught up with yourself and you're not happy of where you are, it's hard to help others. But you can take that air out of the balloon if you reflect about your life, you think about your life, and you make peace with areas and you go for other areas. So my vision for how we can take care of others is to take better care of ourselves.
It starts with us indeed. Mike, it's been great having you once again. Thank you. Wishing you a wonderful weekend and blessings.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.